this is guitarist Denis and I'm in my home studio, and I want to welcome you to Bargain Bin Amps number 17. And this is the Peavey Classic 30 revisited. And I think this is a very important video for me to make, because I discovered some things about the Peavey Classic 30 that maybe was overshadowed by the fact that I had gotten a little Fender X2 and was all excited about it. And I guess my Peavey Classic 30 felt a little left out. But over the last week or so, we've been bonding. And I think we've come to a mutual understanding that I didn't really make apparent, I think, in the last video. Okay, first thing right off the bat, this is a great rock amp as far as gain goes. It's really great for rock kind of stuff. Notice I did not say metal. Right, for metal, you'll definitely have to add a pedal of some sort. But it's still a huge amount of gain, really. For rock kind of stuff, kind of a, I don't know, ZZ Top type stuff, that kind of thing. It's really great for that. However, what I think I neglected last time, by the way, real quick, I should have listened to my piano friend who has a home studio like I do, except that his has a mini split air conditioning system, so it stays real quiet but it keeps it real cool. I wish I had done that. Now here at Bargain Bin Studios, that's what it should be called, just my little home studio, I just have a window air conditioner. And I have it turned off at the moment. It's getting kind of hot, so please bear with me. However, if I turn on the air conditioning, especially since I'm only using the little video camera, that's all you're going to hear. So I've turned it off to do this video. And, yeah, I think I did the Peavey 30 Classic a kind of a disservice, really. And I don't want to put out false impressions of the amp. Now I got the gain part right. It really is a loud and proud, high gain channel. But I think what I overlooked is what a great clean channel it is. And I think that was because I kind of overlooked it because it didn't really have that Fender chime, that real sparkly chiminess of it. Kind of a Fenderish type tone. However, that's not to say that it's like dark and muffled at all. It even has a bright switch on it. But there's a few things that I really like about it. Okay, one, it doesn't have 6L6 tubes, so you can throw the Fender type sound out of it. However, one, it's a really big, beefy sound. Okay, really big sound on the clean channel. And I even like the boost. I figured out, at first I was like, well, this boost on it, it's okay, but no. It definitely adds a little grit to it, a little life to it. And this is one thing I wanted to mention is I had a Fender Deluxe Reverb. It's a pretty expensive amplifier, really. Full of tubes, tube rectifier, tube reverb, tube this and that. But I'll be darned if it wasn't the plain Jane amp I've ever played. And what I mean by that is it's a great sound, for sure. You know, you definitely get a very nice Fenderish kind of sound, but even that amp is not very chimey, I didn't think, at all, you know. And, well, the Peavey Classic 30 is kind of that way. And I'm sorry, I think the Fender Deluxe Reverb is horribly overpriced, you know. I mean, new ones are going for $1,100 for a 22-watt tube amp. Are you kidding me? You know, and how much of that really is paying for the name? I would guess quite a bit, because it says Fender on it. You know, I think that's a big part of it. And online I see the bias, horrible bias. You know, oh, well, if it's not a Fender tube amp, then the cleans must not be very good, or what have you. But that's wrong. Definitely wrong, if you judge with your ears. Now, here's what I discovered with the Peavey Classic 30. It kind of has its own tone, but it's very much kind of a Marshall type clean, as opposed to a Fender clean, which is great. It's still a great amp. And you know, I wonder if this amp was mad at me or something, because as I played it, it kind of warmed up and became less brittle, you know. Maybe the speaker had to break in or something like that, or the tubes or what have you. And now it's just a joy to play. And this is just the amp clean channel here. It's kind of a... So it's got this really kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely a tube clean sound. Anyway, so it's got this, yeah, really nice, beefy tone. Especially if you're not looking for that Fendery chime sound. be plenty bright too. You know, that was the neck pickup. You know, but if you use the bridge, yeah, really bright. So this really nice kind of a tube-like sound. You know, now everyone raves about the Fender Deluxe Reverb, how great the Reverb sounds. But my personal experience with it was I didn't like it at all. I think it sucked. I wouldn't say sucked, that's kind of harsh. But I didn't care for it. You know, it was kind of a... And here, the reverb, I think is quite subtle, really. It's okay. It's... And I think, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I like the reverb. But of course, something like, you know, adding an Eventide pedal or Strymon Big Sky or something will give you some really, you know, really nice reverbs. And to think that this amp, you know, for the volume that it can produce, you know, I have it pretty low here, really, and not break up, or, you know, have that kind of break up stuff. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, for the price, it is quite unbelievable, really. And in a way, in a lot of ways, it reminds me very much of the Fender Deluxe Reverb, but I think it's a little more versatile than the, you know, than that amp. I mean, the amp, as I recall, it just, you know, it made a real nice clean sound, you know, kind of like this, you know, I suppose maybe a little deeper and that kind of thing, you know, But for the price, I'm not sure it's, you know, all that great. And I didn't care much for the reverb at all. So, I guess what I'm really trying to say is, yeah, that I like the clean channel a lot. And I found a use for it. And I'll show you what that is. Now I have the little Fender Champ X2, and you know, that's a tiny little amp really. It's 15 watts. You know, very similar to a Fender Princeton Reverb, by the way. You know, 15 watts, 10-inch speaker. And what that really lacks, of course, is the low end. However, when you combine it with a Peavey Classic 30, it's unbelievable. And really, you're getting the best of both worlds, right? Because of the different kind of tubes in it. You know, the little Fender X2 has those little 6L6s, I think. You know, and the Peavey is more that kind of EL, you know, 84, EL 34 kind of sound. Kind of a Marshallese type sound. And now this is a Fender X2 by itself. Now watch what happens when you combine both. All of a sudden you get a huge sound, and it's kind of strange because the Peavey Classic kind of almost takes on the personality of the X2 sound-wise. I think that's a great sound right there. And the cool thing is that it's a the cool thing is that basically it almost gives the Peavey a kind of Fenderish sound, right? And in return, the little Fender X2 gets that kind of big, beefy sound that you get out of a 12-inch speaker, you know, and it's a lot louder, of course. I'm going to add the Eventide reverb pedal to get an even larger sound, really. And here, this is pretty much just a reverb from the Eventide with the Peavey Classic 30 and the Fender X2. That's the thing, the Peavey Classic 30 gives you that big amp sound. You know, you don't get that out of the Fender X2. You know, it's just this big. So do I highly recommend the Peavey Classic 30? Definitely. I mean, it's a well-constructed amp. I mean, I understand that inside, you know, it's got these PCB boards, and they're kind of a pain because they're folded. You know, I mean, at least it's got metal input jacks. You know, man, a lot of these amps, I mean, not only do they put the input jack on the PCB board, but they freaking use plastic input jacks. And of course, you know, to cut the cost. But what happens? The input jacks break all the time. So here you don't have that issue. And yeah, Peavey Classic 30 has been around for a very long time, and it has definitely stood up that test of time. And the sound is really a great sound, you know. But it's again, it's kind of a, you know, a little bit of a plain, clean sound. And in a way, especially if you're going to use pedals, that's kind of what you want, you know. I mean, it's great to have that little Fender chiming thing, you know, but then if you engage a pedal and it doesn't sound quite right, you know, and sometimes you don't want any effects at all, and you just want to hear the sound of the guitar, you know, without it being really all that colored by the amp. So, and I mean, you know, obviously I'm not playing that super bright country stuff, you know. But definitely this amp can do that. You know, it's very, very interesting because it's a big sound, you know. And what I really like about it is, for me, you know, in the past, to get a really big sound, I'd use the Black Star, you know, the HT Club 40s. And they're 40-watt amps. And they're pretty bulky, big. The Peavey Classic is much smaller, but just as much of a beefy sound and a loud sound. You know, loud quality sound. Yeah, the more I play it, the more I like it. I'd be perfectly happy with the Peavey Classic 30 over the Fender Deluxe Reverb, you know. I mean, I sold it and I don't really regret it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice amp. And it sounds great, but for the kind of stuff I do anyway, you know, the Black Star HT Club 40 or the Peavey Classic 30 will do it for me every time, you know. Do what I need it to do. Yeah, but overall this is kind of a short video, because really what I wanted to do is just let you know that I don't think I really gave the Peavey Classic 30 Clean channel a fair evaluation in the last video I did on the last bargain bin amps. And as I got to play it, it's now one of my favorite amps, you know. And there was a time, and man, I couldn't wait to sell it, believe it or not. You know, and I'm glad I didn't, you know, and really spent some time with it, you know. And I'm glad I did, because it's a really, really nice sound. And, I mean, you can combine it with other amps and get different sounds. Those kinds of things. It's a pretty amazing amp, really. You know, and for rock stuff, I mean, the gain channel's got plenty of gain and things. But I think, you know, if you're doing metal and stuff like that, you know, adding a pedals wouldn't hurt either, you know what I mean? And then you'd have so much gain, it'd be crazy, maybe mixing the two or that kind of thing. Alright, see you next time. Bye.